Lee Sin Annie take it away, or take parts of it away at least. But Rumble's up. Yep, that's just going to be the pick. Okay, so answers into this, I mean, you could go a tank. The Jarvan's up as well. You could take that away. I think that pairs pretty well with the Rumble, and Top Esports might look to take that away.
If you as JDG are banning the Trundle, I think that increases your Nocturne priority. Because we saw in the Top Esports LGD series that despite Hong getting his hands on Nocturne, he got completely owned by Tian on the Trundle. It is so hard to win those early skirmishes, and just putting a lot of respect on your ability to just kind of stat check and win those early fights. You're going to have a lot more value as Nocturne with the Paranoia later on, but if we know JDG want to still maintain that game plan of having early jungle prio and winning jungle matchup or winning 2v2 matchup for those early skirmishes, despite what we saw in the Thunder Talk series, they're gonna want that for sure. But, ladies and gentlemen, we called for it, we set it up, and bada bing, bada boom, bada bam. Rise, Lee Sin, power duo, locked in for Tian and Creme.
I'm a bit surprised that with Annie available, Creme's Annie's really, really good. He's super comfortable on it, that they don't go for the Lee Sin Annie, but this still makes a ton of sense. The global pressure. Kind of a better laning phase as well. You just have the permanent clear, but pretty strong answer. We're talking about the weaknesses of Vi, and that she does lose pretty early to this Lee Sin. Vi kind of loses early game to every jungler. She's really not really even a champion at level 1. You just have like the W start, especially compared to a Lee Sin, where he's so good level 1. Love to round this out with like a Talia and Ari. Could look really good here for HongQ.
Now, this is kind of what we were setting up from what happened in the Thunder Talk series, where Jindong Gaming recognizing, you know what, we're not going to be able to set up a winning jungle matchup for JunJia right from the get-go. This is not a champion that is going to feel very confident in invading Lee Sin early on. But once you get access to level 6, the cease and desist is one of the great ways of dealing with the Lee Sin, because you can try ward hop, you can try and move around with that resonating strike and the flash. You are still going to get pinned by this Vi, and combining with HongQ, this is a moment where JDG can continue on the adaptations they showed in that Thunder Talk series to say, you know what, I'm an ult bot for you, HongQ. Let's move, let's make plays together and get you fed in this early mid game.
Yep, not only the Ari, but the Rumble as well. Great early skirmishing, mid-game skirmishing combo here with the top 3 in the top side of the map. So I love what JDG are going with. The Ambassador can be a tough matchup into the Rumble, but Zuian's been finding some success on this pick in recent games, so that does make sense. It's all about bot lane now in the second phase. What kind of bot lane are you going for? We've seen Renekton banned away in the second phase for Top Esports, which I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't quite know why Renekton got banned.
That is very curious. If Top Esports intentionally banned the Renekton knowing that the Rumble was flexible...
But it have to go support.
I feel like Senna Rumble would have been potentially the cook there, which...
That's crazy.
It's been done before, but it hasn't been done in a while. So we'll let that marinate for another time, whether it's later on in the series or another time. So, but Lucian instantly locked in. Normally, Melio is the pairing with it, but it's not going to be an Ashe Seraphine response from Jindong Gaming. It is, in fact, Xayah and Rakan. And what a nice way to try and escape some of the dive that Top Esports have between this Mbessa, between this Lee Sin, looking for the play. Xayah can go up into the air with the Featherstorm and try and nullify that. And Top Esports recognizing, do we really want the Melio here? There's not much to really cleanse, but Rakan ultimate, the charm that you provide, as well as the single target charm from Ari, might be enough that is still worth doing to allow Lucian to excel in this laning phase.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan's been something that's been rising up in priority a whole lot more. Scales really well. A lot of the bot lane duos don't really scale that well in comparison to other ones we've seen in the past. You know, the Kai'Sa, things like the Xayah. Great team fighting. It works really well with JDG's draft. I think that the hesitation on the Melio pick is because JackeyLove and Fengyue haven't been finding a ton of success with this bot lane duo. I believe Fengyue hasn't won a game on it this split so far. JackeyLove's Lucian hasn't looked great. They've looked much better on the Nami, which is a decent matchup into the Rakan, but they really want the cleanse for this game. I think that the backline of top esports, it's super vulnerable. Definitely the target for JunJia HongQ to go in on. I love JDG's draft. It's strong team fight.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. I'm with you, man. And I had that same moment of sheer terror of just realizing that Yanni was not a fan. But anyway, we finally got over the bug. It's time to hit Summoner's Rift for Game 1 between Top Esports and JDG.
I still haven't gotten over it. I still haven't gotten over it, by the way. I'm still upset.
Yeah. No, it's a shame that Yanni does not like Lord of the Rings. It is definitely one of the greatest trilogies of our generation, and
I'm with you.
maybe the greatest trilogy of our generation. There's definitely a couple others that are up there as well, but it is one of the best pieces of cinema. Tian, though, look at this. Raptor Invade.
Yeah, wow.
Gonna get spotted on this ward, but he wants to get into JunJia's face, and JunJia immediately backs off, does not want to waste time with this Gromp. Tian trying to figure out what the hell happened and recognizes, okay, JunJia had a ward on me, so I'm just gonna go over and try to play for these wolves, but he missed it. So now Tian, I don't think he realizes. All right. Well, Tian's kind of caught in a spot where he's just gonna make JunJia really annoyed that there's a Lee Sin trying to invade him at level 2. Where we talked about this, JBetto. Level 2 Vi doesn't really do much, and he's got Fengyue in his back pocket as well. Yeah, JunJia, you better leave. This is not your jungle buddy. He's super low on HP, but Tian is willing to flip it.
Oh,
but
JunJia
got
got it.
another smite, and he just takes it away. Is that worth it for Tian? All of his investment, he pulled his support over. Doesn't even get the camp.
I'm really surprised that Tian didn't just decide to go for the Gromp. It felt like he wants the kill over anything, but then didn't really play that trade too well. Actually ended up needing Fengyue to come over and give him some shield. And yeah, like you said, JunJia gets the smite anyway. So pretty winning start for JDG. Definitely a precarious situation you can find yourself in, but if JDG can continue to thwart invades like that in a 1v2, I think they'll get through this early game just fine. Because remember, I think this early game for top esports is really strong. With the Lee Sin, with the potential push in bot like we've been seeing, Lucian Milio does not normally get pressure level 1. So being able to push in and roam is nice trade from JDG.
At least JackeyLove and Fengyue still have the winning bot lane pressure on this Xayah Rakan Lovers Duo bot lane combo, but Tian gonna be behind the curve after all of his efforts of trying to make JunJia's life very annoying and frustrating. Doesn't really result in that much being done. And we talked about how JunJia potentially in this series going forward is going to have to be a lot more self-reliant and having to try and figure out these scenarios by himself if HongQ is going to be given a lot more resources and not being forced to drop. Well, HongQ was pinned, so JunJia was kind of in that scenario all by himself. And he's out the better of it against Tian so far.
Gala taking the exhaust in this matchup, something we've been seeing a little bit more of. I saw a discussion actually, you might need to hold that thought as JunJia's wrapping around behind.
This would be the icing on the cake if JunJia was able to find a gank onto top esports after they tried to take some resources away from him, but it's pretty darn hard to force a gank by yourself when your Xayah and Rakan are pinned under the tower, and at the end of the day, JunJia taking that one pit stop around bot lane allows Tian to catch back up.
He was just saying, like, I'm warning you. You know, I could do this, but I'm not going to.
True.
But yeah, the exhaust pickup. I saw a discussion about it. I can't remember from who. Might have been Dom. About when like the meta kind of shifts towards people taking exhaust because of the lane fighting. HongQ takes quite a bit of HP. Sometimes, like in this example, JackeyLove would go cleanse to try to thwart the exhaust, and then Gala can mind game you when you're comfortable taking cleanse to then not go the exhaust, take something like barrier or heal or ghost, and then JackeyLove has cleanse in a matchup where he doesn't want it in. We're not there quite yet. The exhaust is... Tian walks in and junglers continue to just kind of fight over these camps. No actual fighting of themselves, but a lot of invading and potential invading happening here in this early game.
JunJia another clutch smite allows him to secure the big monster of the camp that Tian was threatening. I mean, he has prio in both mid and bot, so every time that he's fishing for a camp, it's usually relying on a laner that has priority and can move at a moment's notice. But so far, neither of these two invade attempts that Tian has been able to find have really just...
Yeah.
I don't want to say a big waste from Tian, but JunJia hasn't been decelerated at all.
Yeah, it's definitely a big positive for JDG, considering, like we've been talking about in the draft and in this game so far, the early game for the Lee Sin is so threatening, so being able to get to that level 6 that you were talking about in draft is super important. Level 6 is starting to tick over now. Xiaoxu, HongQ, JunJia won't be that far behind, and Tian's done a good job of evening himself out after that. Not amazing start, not the start you'd love to have as a Lee Sin. The Dragon's up, and I think JunJia is super happy to just avoid Tian wherever he can right now. If he gets the smite steal, that's great. But as long as he's not fighting this Lee Sin, he's in a really good position.
Public execution from Zuian right onto Xiaoxu in the middle of the lane. Throws on the equalizer, and it forces Zuian to back off for now. Xiaoxu does not have the health to be able to continue playing out this lane. He's going to take a recall, already having used the teleport. Oh, and JunJia says, yeah,
6.
Screw you, buddy. All the times you invaded, this is how it feels. How do you feel when I take your big chicken away?
I think he had the upgraded smite for that. I didn't quite see if it was completed at that time, but I think it was, considering that he's at 18 now. So, pretty easy steal from JunJia after that second crab. Really smart pathing from JunJia so far. Tian goes for an early look for the invade. JunJia nearly wins 1v2. I mean, if you count the camp as the win, then he did win the 1v2. Tian's going to be spotted on this ward, so JDG will be just fine.
Despite not having level 6 on Gala just yet, as they just ding it in time, didn't really seem like Tian was going to be able to find an angle, as he's going to try and use his pressure to pull Fengyue of JackeyLove over, look for the first dragon of the game. Somewhat of a slow start on the Drake stacking. JunJia's in the area, teleport coming in from Vampire. They might try and contest this, but HongQ is cut off by Creme, popping the Ghost, gets some decent damage down onto HongQ's aura. He hasn't popped the Spirit Rush, but they're looking for the threat onto Tian. Season just right on the top, but JunJia steals the dragon right under Tian's nose, picks the first blood for Gala. The charm connects on the Creme. He read the flash like a book, and it's a double kill for Gala, and top Esports are collapsing here at 8 minutes.
Yeah, you see Creme tries to block HongQ from entering, but Creme can't connect any meaningful damage. All of his Qs missed, and then JunJia, with HongQ now linked up with the rest of JDG, not only secure the dragon, but this is the team fight that we were talking about in the draft. So much more impactful than top Esports' draft. The TP back from Vampire meant that they were happy to fight. Fengyue is out of the pit. 20 when the smite comes in. And this teamfight damage is just absurd. A brilliant charm predict on this flash. That's just unreal game sense from this young player.
HongQ was locked in after that first game in the Thunder Talk series, and he is carrying that form forward into their first game against top Esports. And when you consider the early game plans from top Esports trying to put JunJia behind, not being able to find anything, how vindicating must it feel as JunJia to just immediately thwart Tian on the first dragon, as Creme taking way too much damage under the tower. He's going to try and use that rise passive to speed on out away from what could have been a flash commit from HongQ to finish the job there.
This mid-jungle duo looking really, really good. And Vampire on this engage also looking pretty good. We've been seeing a lot more Enchanter in the meta, and sometimes we've seen comps that don't really have a great way of engaging. This is not one of those comps. If you can get through the lane, if you can find your fight timers, it's not quite the Ardent Sensor meta where you just lose because enemy has an Enchanter, but as long as you're careful in the 2v2s, the team fighting is just so much stronger for JDG. I think top esports really need to look for like cross-mapping, taking the Rise to a side lane, trying to get gold on maybe Ambessa, help out this bot lane. Tian spotted on another ward. JDG's wards have just been ridiculous. Look at how many wards they have in the bot jungle.
It's lit up like a Christmas tree, JBetto. There's nowhere that Tian can go where JDG will not have information on him. And Creme trying to at least cover this entrance, having somewhat of a suspicion that JunJia could try and slink on in and catch Tian by surprise, but JunJia is going to look to aim mid lane instead. There's no flash on this rise. The charm goes wide, and that immediately forces JunJia to decide otherwise on forcing that play.
Yep. Really good win there for Creme. Tian wasn't even close, and he's still on vision. Creme happy to take the 1v2. That's pretty annoying there, Creme. Here's TP, it's fine. Colin coming out in the bot lane just for a bit of prio. Won't result in a kill. Probably won't happen. In fact, you know, Flash exhaust is up. The healer's nearly up for Vampire. So this bot lane should be fine. And because of the early kills, JackeyLove's building a bit of CS lead, but it hasn't resulted in any real gold lead. A little tiny bit of XP, but realistically that doesn't matter a whole ton. JackeyLove no mana. Be careful here. Getting his base cancelled on his side now. So both these teams just playing for the tempo, not wanting to speed up the game a whole ton just yet, waiting for these next dragon fights.
Yeah. Because the early game didn't go quite the way that Top Esports were hoping for, they now have to kind of slow things down and wait for those first item spikes to come online. As we have noted from Lucian builds evolving over the course of history here in competitive league, he shifted more to a mid-game champion where he really wants that first item Essence Reaver before he starts shifting into the mid lane and using that culling to open up priority for those objective picks. Unfortunately for Top Esports, JDG are going to be slightly accelerated on that first item spike, so they are going to be more than confident to try and tango with them at this point in the game. 40 seconds before the next dragon spawns.
Yep, but all of Top Esports are around here in this top lane. Engage from Tian.
Nice fall breaker from JunJia. Temporarily stops it for now, but Tian commits the play. Recon Charm cancels it for now, and HongQ deals with Tian just fine. JunJia able to disengage from the fight, and HongQ has multiple charges of the Spirit Rush. The Tian dodges this out. Realm Warp forces JunJia just to take a ball breaker over the wall, and JackeyLove at this point, he's mad. He just wants a kill in his pocket at this point. JunJia successfully rage baiting the AD carry to force his flash, but all during that time, Gala is getting free gold here in the bottom lane.
Well, no Herald actually picked up. Actually, was there even a Herald spawn? I don't even know why they were fighting it, to be honest. But take a look back. No, just over a Scuttle Crab. I was like, wait, 12 minutes. Just a Scuttle Crab. We're fighting for the Scuttle Crab. The entire bot lane rotated up for this Scuttle Crab. Really well played by JDG. Again, their team fighting is just superior at this part of the game. And JackeyLove comes over, and I was thinking, okay, this is where the fight is going to swing. No, HongQ dissuades the fight. JunJia goes over the wall, then JunJia goes over the wall again. It's just buying time, like you said, for the bot lane to push him. After the Essence Reaver was completed by Gala, he got a big cashback bonus as well, and then continued to push the minions and plates. So now he's sitting at about a 1.5k lead. Dragon spawn, Top Esports are around. With this base from Gala, down tempo for the dragon itself, but neither team looking to pick it up just yet. I am concerned though for Top Esports. That was down members for JDG, and they still weren't able to get a really winning fight. Now, given over priority around the dragon, losing this second one, very high possibility that this could be an Infernal Soul, which with this team fighting draft is really, really hard to deal with.
No answer from Top Esports in stopping JDG from getting the second dragon of the game. And with a composition that, I don't want to say it doesn't have any late game, Xayah will be a threat later on, but you don't necessarily think of Xayah as the most traditional hyper carry that gets more fearsome as the game goes on compared to the likes of a Jinx, a Zeri, etc. But JDG, if they have the gold lead and they maintain this advantage going forward, it is really hard for Top Esports to try and slow down the pace of the game and prevent JDG from just being able to force such reliable picks and initiations with this Vi Recon combo, the Ahri being able to follow up so easily. And Top Esports are going to have to, I imagine, start overgrouping on sides and trying to get some gold back into the pockets of both Creme and Zuian so that they can have at least some side lane pressure advantage and prevent JDG from finding those easy picks in the first place.
Creme does a bit of damage in the top lane. Now the Herald has spawned. This time for real. And everyone but the top laners is around it. Both top laners do have TP. Positions around for top esports. Vampire would just be able to go over the wall. So isn't too scared of the Q there. Gala pushing in the mid wave. I will say, though, I do think that Xayah outscales Lucian specifically, especially in a comp like this where you're team fighting. And just rooted.
That's just totally fine. Vampire, though, immediately flash into the ultimate and make sure that Tian cannot play the game. Public execution, immediately exhausted by Gala, cuts down the damage, and Zuian has nothing else to contribute to the fight for now. Zuian tries to go back in with some cooldown. Xiaoxu holds the door for now, tries to run away, slows him down with the Electro Harpoon. Meanwhile, on the left side, Creme is trying to dump as much damage as he can, but the runes are just not strong enough at this point. And can you believe it, JBetto? Not a single member of the Jindong Gaming squad falls in the face of top esports.
An unbelievable team fight from JDG. First, the plan of that fight, the idea is so smart. You're just, let's go on Creme. He's the only way the top esports can truly start a fight. And best of all, with the nerfs, we can dodge that. It might not hit our priority target, so that's fine. Let's take down Tian. He's the one who's going to be slippery. He dies instantly. But top esports do a ton of damage back in return. JDG kite out, they go in and out, they dodge on all these abilities. So let's take a look back. It's originally a play onto JunJia, but Vampire with the flash ult. Then JunJia with his ult on Tian. He can't move, he dies immediately before he can even do anything. And now JDG look a bit stuck. Top esports have some space to go forward. The Hellfires get chunked down a little bit. Right here, it feels like JDG are completely out of gas, but no, Creme goes in. Snap again onto Creme. And Xiaoxu on the top side goes out. HongQ flashes away. Gala takes down Zuian. It's just an incredible execution mechanically all over the board from JDG.
Just exquisite team fighting from JDG. We got glimpses of what their peaks could look like at some points throughout Split 1. But obviously, sometimes it wasn't always consistently delivered. But against top esports here in Game 1, we are getting a prime example of what JDG at their best can look like when they seem to be operating on the same wavelength. Everyone understands what is the win condition, which target to prioritize first, and being able to flip it like a switch on a dime is just immaculate to watch unfold.
Tian's on the side here, but Xayah is a pretty safe champion, supports right behind, so he should be totally fine. But yeah, we were talking about this jungle matchup. Tian on his most played champion. I think this is 96 Lee Sin games now. And JDG just say, well, we know how to answer this. We're just going to kill you every fight first. We have so much lockdown for this Lee Sin. It's been a great look.
Oh, goodness gracious. Good night, JackeyLove. JDG immediately bait him in, and then HongQ comes from Fog of War and just dumps an entire spell combo into JackeyLove's health bar. And top esports, I think this one is looking pretty cooked here, JBetto. JDG with a 7,000 gold advantage. That fight on the top side in that river was supposed to be the one that would bring top esports back into an even state, and it just punted them further into the abyss.
Yeah, I mean, Chemtech Soul is not the strongest, so I mean, I guess you can count that as small silver lining, but with this massive Xayah lead, there's really nothing the top esports can do. They might just take a Hail Mary fight and try to get a fight win here.
Vampire leads the charge once again. Two-man charm onto Creme and Tian. And Creme is the first one to just get dropped into a body bag. Tian knocked up again by another great grand entrance from Vampire and completely cut off by the reinforcements of JDG, operating as one fluid five-man squad, dominating this Game 1 here in the upper semifinal.
Yeah, this game is completely over to the point where I'm already thinking about who my MVP for this game would be, and it's a tough call. I think Vampire's had great engages. Gala has played really well. HongQ's catches have been superb. Like this, how is this happening? How is he doing this?
Relax! It's just a semifinal. We're not even in the grand finals yet. You gotta save some juice for the rest of the playoffs, buddy.
And then, of course, I think JunJia's had a great performance in this game too. Surviving that early game and then setting up a lot of these players. This does give me a lot of hope because I can't lie, I was a bit down, Raafaa, after the BLG series, but this is an explosive start in this series for JDG.
Once again, target selection has been so damn consistent from JDG, and everyone is on the same page. I think you have to give a lot of credit to Vampire, who, anytime I watch JDG comms, he has been the most vocal of the team and has really come into his own as one of the best supports we've had in LPL this year. After many, including myself, were very doubtful of him, even with all of the Aragon standing and apologist works that he's put out. But you know what? Aragon was right. Vampire had the potential sauce. I didn't see it in 2025, but I've been taking note and respect of it towards the end of 2025 in summer when WE, in the aftermath of their great run, upsetting top esports in the lower bracket playoffs, and now he was one of the members picked up by Tabe for this JDG roster for 2026, and he has been such a great leader for this team.
Yep, Herald spawned. Should crush. Oh, here we go.
It's just the same old story all over again. Everyone dogpiles on the Tian. Don't allow him to play the game, even on the signature Lee Sin. And HongQ is just completely astrogliding all over top esports and not giving them any room to breathe. And the suffocation is going to continue with a Baron Nashor on top of it all.
I mean, it's definitely an entertaining game. JDG say, we win every fight, and we're going to take every fight we possibly can as well, just to show that we surely can win every fight. I think the top esports, very out of their depth in this game. TP down bot from Vampire just to get some wards for this upcoming Dragon in 2.5 minutes, and also allows JDG to start their push. But man, this has been a pretty dominant game one. JDG haven't really made any mistakes. One death is all they've lost. This is almost a perfect game. One tower and bot, one kill. That's all that stands between JDG and this perfect game here in game one. We're nearly there. It's like a 90% perfect game.
It makes you wonder what is going to be top esports' game plan going into future drafts and future early games. Is Tian going to try to be as aggressive as he was on this Lee Sin now that he no longer has access to it? Obviously, we know that a lot of the junglers in the LPL have been able to do similar things with the likes of Nocturne and Pantheon. Hell, we've even seen Olaf invades as well, since his level 1 can be so fearsome. Another pick by the 3-man Death Squad. They're going to relay it into this second turret in the mid lane for Siege. Xiaoxu throws down the equalizer. Charm connects right onto Creme once again. Chunks him about 50% HP. They go in for the follow-up. Zuian finds a public execution. Takes out one, takes out two.
Okay.
But it's not going to be a comeback. A brief glimpse of hope. Completely dashed away. Jindong Gaming are not letting top esports have any fun in this game one. And JDG are about to lead the series.
Yeah, top esports triple their kills, but they lose the game in the process. An absolute statement from JDG in this first game. 24-minute win in a matchup that, again, is 5-4 head-to-head this year. They look on track to head to that upper final so far.
A swift and dominant victory in less than 25 minutes. This is peak Jindong Gaming, and we get a banger opener from them to kick off our upper semifinal.
Yep, I think top esports showed up about as much as your camera has so far, Raafaa, in this series.
Real?
No, but it is a lot about JDG weathering the storm of that early invade. If that goes a different way, if Tian gets the look that he wants, and the result that he wants from that early play, we could be talking about a completely different game. Now, no Lee Sin. So if Tian wants to continue to play aggressive, he's going to have to look towards other stuff. There is the Trundle that we saw banned, so that was banned by JDG. A really, really smart ban in that first game. It felt like JDG came in with a perfect read.
Yeah. And I still don't mind top esports looking for this Rise Lee Sin combo. But if your plan is you're going to try and invade and just fist fight JunJia, and your supporting cast member is checks notes Melio with no point and click CC, no easy lockdown that guarantees the rest of Lee Sin's abilities to connect. I mean, level 2 invade from Lee Sin can be strong, but I don't even remember what he had available. He had to have started E so that he could finish Raptors really fast, but then normally you want to take Q, but I don't think... Yeah, so he had the Q available. The one thing that does make things difficult is you don't have access to Safeguard, which means you don't have access to the Omnivamp for the sustain and the extra shield to make sure that you can try and win that sustain war against Vi. And while we rightfully kind of called out, Vi can get kind of owned early on because all of her damage is really tied to the Vault Breaker. If you just fist fight her, she's going to proc her shield passive. She's going to proc auto resets from her E, and she gets the armor shred and the attack speed guaranteed off of the 3 hit from her W, which she starts with. So even without Vault Breaker, she was actually kind of 1v1ing Tian in that moment because he was also tanking a majority of the aggro from Wolves. So quite honestly, JunJia was just playing those early invade scenarios way better than Tian was.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange decision making as well. JunJia says, okay, fine, have my lunch money, take the Grump, please. And Tian says, no, I want your bike too. And then JunJia says, no, that's mine actually. And Tian is he was given the money and still said, no, I want more. We could have been talking about a lead for this Lee Sin. I understand he wants more through that lead, but ended up not finding something like that. 2 6-7s. That's what I like to see. But yeah, HongQ and Gala, really, really strong performance. I think it's a really tough MVP vote for me. I think you can make an argument for everybody. Xiaoxu, a bit of a quiet early game, but it's a tough call for sure.
I love that analogy. Tian just trying to come in like the school bully, and JunJia is just trying to be the smart approach, or taking the smart approach of, you know what, I don't want any conflict, I want to fight you, but that bike, no, my dad gave that to me before he passed away. You cannot take that. That's where we cross the line, and then boom, smite away. And Tian's like, yeah, well, damn, that's not
guys,
how I wanted it to go down.
You just gotta stand up to your bullies, just like JunJia in this game. Stand up to your bullies. See, this truly was a movie or an episode of a TV show, and JDG were the main characters in this game for sure. It felt like Top Esports had a game plan coming in, and when that game plan kind of fell flat, they didn't have a backup. The Rise never really got to roam. HongQ was styling all over all of Top Esports. The Ambessa never really got unlocked. And this Lucian Melio, while it has looked incredible, like I said in draft, Fengyue still has not won a game on this champion. And the Lucian for JackeyLove has been one of his least successful picks this split. Obviously, they have duos that look really good. This is just not one of them.
And I have to say, I don't even think this was JackeyLove's fault at all. And it wasn't even a champion that he wasn't playing well, but the game just collapsed around him because Tian tried to warp so much of it around him getting direct early advantages over JunJia's Vi before she had access to level 6, but the skirmishing went so poorly for them. First, it's the Dragon Punish, stealing that, then capitalizing onto Creme and still killing him despite him flashing over the wall. Then Top Esports doubling down and saying, whatever, we are still better than these guys. We can still fight them in this topside river. That goes poorly. They're like, all right, we'll wait for first item. Then we'll fight on it. And if we don't win there, GG. We're just scratching up this draft and we're going next. And that's exactly what happened. The third river fight, 7,000 gold afterwards. How do you look forward after all that?
Well, you look forward and say, all right, guys, Tabe Diff, they can't get those champions again. It's okay.
Very true.
We've been seeing a lot of Rumble be let through. Really not a fan of that. He just looks incredible all the time. Giving over these strong duos with not a great answer. I would have maybe preferred the Nefiri, but I mean, how can you tell Tian not to take Lee Sin? Like that's, I think it does come down to an execution of that early game.
Oh yeah.
But even still, I think if we're looking from a draft perspective, Lee Sin Annie probably looks a lot better. But take a look at the MVP. It is going to be JunJia.
As you said, there are arguments that could have been for really anyone that series because a lot of JDG members played such a good game. I think HongQ would have definitely been the next favorite just because he was instrumental in being able to continue that punish alongside JunJia. But, I mean, when you are the focus of Tian invades early on and you deny every camp that he attempts to steal from you, and then you go in, you steal his big raptor, and then you steal the Drake right under from him, oh my goodness, that's just permanent mental damage in game one, and it's gonna be up to Tian and the rest of top esports to see if they can recover. But before we toss to a break and get ready for game number 2, we want to remind everyone at home that if you want to support the LPL English broadcast, that the best way to do it is actually going to be through coffee, because coffee, consider becoming a coffee member, because coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, because the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. Subscribe to our coffee linked in the chat to unlock perks like early access to content, the ability to ask interview questions, more top esports, and JDG action